Hello, I'm Daisy, your hostess, and in this video, we're going through the book titled How to Tap Your Hidden Sources of Energy by Elmer Wheeler. This book is in the public domain. If you're new to my channel, welcome, and to our subscribers, welcome back. As I've mentioned, this book is, in its sense, when you listen to it, it has a sense of a different era, yet it's interesting that the point of view coming from Elmer Wheeler, who was a top salesman of his time, still allows us to kind of get into the psyche of what mentality, what mindset is needed to perform at high energy. So he's sharing all these tips, not from a metaphysical point of view, not from a scientific point of view, but from someone who has been successful in a field where high energy is required. To me, it's almost like having your favorite uncle just giving you some good tips on life. And most of them were so common sense. Yet, of course, this is what, turn of the century. So yoga was just about as sublime as, butterflies flying in the air at that time. And it wasn't a heavy topic. And the new age thought of thoughts are things was beginning to be a buzzword also. And like I mentioned, I love getting into these books because you also get a sense of the era. So this was published in 1962. And so it wasn't until 1969 that the Public Health Smoking Act was passed in the United States, where the Surgeon General put that warning about cigarettes being dangerous to your health. So it's funny because in the previous chapter, the author mentions one of the things that he recommends was smoke with the cigarette in your fingers, not hanging out of the corner of your mouth as you work with both hands. I was a little girl during that period, that transition of the smoking, because I remember going to restaurants, and just as you would see condiments, you would also see an ashtray at the table. And then eventually I remember that they divided it where there used to be a smoking section, and then now, like, there's no smoking inside different facilities and not even on airplanes. I did find it amusing when I read that. But either way, the meaning itself is not lost on me because I understand it in my sense, where what he's saying is, if you're doing something of pleasure, just focus on the pleasure. Don't do multitask. Stay with one thing, and you will find that you have a plethora of energy to do something else later when you focus on that other thing. And again, I want to thank you all for being a part of this community, for subscribing and joining me on this journey here. And if you're new and would like to catch up on these previous chapters, please visit my book playlist. And as I have mentioned before, these books are usually a first read for me, unless I otherwise, tell you beforehand. So most of this is like so new to me, and I share it with you. And I am going to be really looking forward to what this next chapter is going to reveal, as it's going to be covering finding energy after retirement, finding energy after 65. According to the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, from a World Social Report in 2023, they're talking about an aging world. And it's one of the things that they mentioned, that the number of people aged 65 years and older worldwide is projected to more than double, rising from 761 million in 2021 to 1.6 billion in 2050. And they're saying that the number of people aged 80 years or older is growing even faster. So what are we going to do with all that energy? Interesting. So with that intro, I will go ahead and turn the page to the next chapter, titled There's No Age Limit to Remaining Youthful and Energetic. Don't worry, you can't die before your death. At what time in life do people feel old and feel lacking in energy? Usually, say dermatologists, when they begin to look old to themselves. This affects their thinking and makes them feel they are getting old. Usually, hair and skin cause most people to feel old, and feeling old, they de-energize themselves. What miracle, then, can be performed to make our skin look always youthful and our hair to remain forever fair in our own eyes? In a recent article in Vogue, Dr. Norton Brown, an advocate of good looks, youth, and energy, tells how he sent several assistants to study the secret methods Europeans use to regain or keep youth. The people visited many spas and luxurious sanitariums and came back looking fit and youthful and filled with energy. However, it was not secret cures that did the work. It was rest the people received. It was a lack of excessive smoking, drinking, and late hours. That, said Dr. Brown, seemed to be a big answer. People eating good food and being free of stress and strain regained youthful looks and renewed energies, according to this expert on youth. An intangible cure. Another intangible cure found by such men as Dr. Brown in keeping youthful is keeping your verb to live, your uncrushable spirit in maintaining a desire to participate in life all around you keeps you youthful. People who become a part of daily happenings live better. They have pep, and in having pep, have a spirit of go places that keeps them perennially youthful. For who is older than a person who has given up the roadster for the rocking chair, who has slumped into retirement life, instead of leaping forward into a second post-retirement life? People who give up too soon age sooner. What tangible cures? When a person eases up on smoking, he or she eases up on tensions, eliminates that smoker's look, that smoker's stance, that hacking in the throat, which relaxes the individual and gives him or her added appearance and added energy. Let's face it, smoking too much is harmful to our looks, as is doing too much of anything else in life. Moderation is the answer to good looks and energy. Moderation in drinking keeps away the drinker's nose, the drinker's droopy lips, the drinker's bleary eyes. For what has ever been good-looking and youthful about such looks? A person walks gaily into a party with firm step, neat appearance, a cheery spirit, but after too much imbibing becomes a bore, looks older, and is older through his drained vitality. So, 2 cures to prevent lack of pep are less smoking, less drinking. How much to drink? Dr. William Dock, in a story in Life magazine, cites his ideas of how alcohol affects people. He gave his view along with 15 other speakers at a conference on alcohol and civilization, which Life reported as follows. In their zeal to defend the judicious use of alcohol, the doctors were careful to set limits on just how much is enough. One doctor reported that with 0.05% alcohol in the blood, about 1 1/3 moderately strong highballs, a lady is delightful and desirable. At 0.1%, she is daring and devilish. At 0.2%, she is dangerous and disheveled. At 0.4%, she is delirious and disgusting. And at 0.6%, she is dead drunk. At 0.7%, just dead. Watch your thoughts. Another way to keep youthful is to watch your thoughts. For your thoughts show up on your face, the face being the mirror of your soul and your thoughts. An embittered person looks old, lacks youthful. Youth isn't bitter, and that is one reason youth looks gay, cheerful, happy, and filled with energy. A person unhappy with life looks unhappy, and unhappiness on the face adds to one's age. Keep bitter thoughts off the mind, and you'll look a few years younger, for you will have stimulated energy inside of you. How long are you young? Doesn't he look his age? Says a friend of a friend. But another friend of another friend says, he sure doesn't look his age, does he? Why then does one look old and one look young? Flexibility, says one psychologist. People who aren't rigid mentally seldom get rigid physically, at least prematurely. If a person is flexible enough to adjust his conversation, his thinking, his viewpoints to fit into a conversation, into daily problems, that person retains youth longer than the adamant person forever firm and stubborn about his viewpoints. The flexible person bends and weaves in a conversation, is exhilarated, beams, glows, and gives the illusion of being younger than his or her years. They retain their youth far longer than people who have become crusty and set in their ways. Get flexibility into your thinking and you'll have more youthful energy. Just how long a person can function in society in daily business contacts with others depends upon that person's flexibility in accepting the new, regardless of how delightful the old had been to him. A person who can't accept the new style in dress, the new restaurant and dining out, the new in TV, the new in dancing, loses youth fast, becomes an old-timer in life. It's not for me anymore is a good statement at times to use, but too much of such thinking ages you, dates you. The person willing to ride with the top down on the car, willing to go to a late dance on and off, run off for a weekend here or there, gets new surges of interest in life that don't rob them, but augment their energy. Beware of being a has-been. It's in your attitudes. Dr. Hollis E. Clow, psychiatrist of note, claims it is in your attitudes that you remain youthful. The doctor points out a youthful person who has let her attitude on life become boring to her is old beyond her age. On the other hand, an elderly person with youthful attitudes appears even more energetic than her sister half her age. When the youthful person loses interest in life, she is old beyond her years. She is listless, drags herself around, and has the attitude of a grandmother. Yet Marlene Dietrich, a grandmother, often has attitudes even more youthful than her charming daughter. It's all in your attitudes. The doctor claims that it is difficult to predict the age of a person, for it is a complexity between years and attitudes. It is in physical and in psychological. Age, therefore, is calculated individually, for some youths are old and some old folks are youths. It is a combination of physical and psychological. The person forever adjusting his or her attitudes in keeping with progress in life remains youthful longer. The witty, charming, gay one who is up on current things and happenings and not forever talking about the good old days has the attitude of youth. The Valley of Secret Fears. Dr. Edward B. Allen, associate of Dr. Clow, in a report says, everyone on reaching the age of 50 to some extent enters the Valley of Secret Fears. Meaning that person can over-try to remain 40, much as the person entering 40 wants to look 30. In so doing, he gains anxieties, loses hope and vigor, lacks enthusiasm to go on, and fails to regulate himself or herself to the added age. But by adjusting to the 40s or 50s, a person can learn to carry them lightly and more youthful than one 10 years younger. Dr. Allen offers one sure cure for being your age, and that is humor. He claims humor keeps one alive and alert, and the years hang less drearily on the person afflicted with the 50th or 60th or 70th birthday complex. People look more youthful always seem to be those who adjust best to change. The trick? Don't take your birthdays too seriously. Other things that date you. Not only do trifocals date you, but also your tone of voice, the weak, whimpering voice of the old man, the whiny, high voice of the old lady. These put date lines on you. You can still have a crisp voice, a brisk mannerism at any age. You can give quick answers instead of pondering long on what to say, then reply, I just can't seem to remember. That dates you. Your firm, steady stride makes you appear more youthful. The easy way you sit in a chair, the relaxed way you have of standing, all can give zest to an old body and camouflage its exact date. The point: camouflage your age, and in so doing, you'll step up your energy. Don't live on memories. One final way to remain youthful is don't live on memories. The person forever dreaming of the past, the good old days, cannot live successfully in the newer world of middle age, and that person dies on the vine, as does the morning glory of the past summer. People who overwork a phrase like "in my day" receive a poor audience reaction. Your tall tale of youthful fun is all right until you make it a moral lesson. Then it becomes boring. It dates you as an old fogey, and you feel mature, lacking in vim and vigor to keep up in life. Ghoulish memories is what Garson Kanin, the playwright and director, calls the habit of casting morbid memories over a gathering. It is a significant phrase, ghoulish memories. The calendar is to hang on the wall, not around people's necks. Getting involved in the present, claims Kanin, keeps one forever young in spirit, in thought, in appearance. Age is not mathematical. Only on your passports is it necessary to admit. People who forget their age forget their aging. Be attentive to the present. The family album is only for your own personal recollections. And even then, don't overdo living in the past. Concentrate on the present, on the people now around you, the new ones, the current ones, the present breed of people. Fit in with them, and you'll fit in with life. Getting old is a point of view. How to remain youthful. Keep your conversation modern, and you'll be modern. Don't live in the past. Become part of the present. Have the right attitudes, and you'll have the best attitude in life. How long do people keep young and energetic? Just as long as they keep up with the present and stop living in the past with its ghoulish memories. Getting old is one of physical as well as psychological effects, and the person who has the right spirit has the right energy to back it up. You never get old mentally. Chapter Success Secret. I have often admired the youth that Tony Flores, the cigar man of Tampa, reflects. Yet Tony is no spring chicken. Whenever I visit the Bering cigar firm he heads up with the Corals, original owners, I study as much his system of keeping youthful as I do his methods of making cigars. One day I seem to find his success secret. It is manifold as follows. 1. Tony is surrounded by the youthful owners, the Corals. This keeps Tony on his toes. To be sure, there are older heads in the firm, but they too act young in keeping pace with youthful Tony. 2. At conversations, Tony is alert to the younger people, and he sits and studies them. In so keeping his mind on the young people, he picks up their actions and their mannerisms. He is quick to adapt himself to youthful ideas. He even does the twist. 3. Tony also keeps up with youthful customers. He has seen a trend in the making of cigars. Young people are beginning to smoke them, so Tony is getting out thinner panatella shapes for young people who don't want the fatter, bigger cigars of the older business executive. The point I'm bringing out is that if you are to remain youthful in spirit and action, surround yourself with youth. Never say, "Now in my day," for that dates you, and worse than that, it makes you think of the old days, not the new young days. I have seen the same spirit in other lines of endeavor. When firm heads accept youth on their staff, when they are open-minded to youthful ideas, the firm head, youthful. Be the last to criticize youthful ideas. Be the first to keep youth advising you, and be quick to judge their thinking in terms of modern-day youthful thinking. You'll expend less energy and stay youthful. Chapter Thought. As the horse remarked, the grass will last a lifetime, and after that, who cares? Success Secrets. Build castles in the air, then put solid foundations under them. Old Hickory. Before he was 50, he suffered from smallpox, tuberculosis, malaria, rheumatism, dysentery, and had a bullet lodged next to his heart. Yet Andrew Jackson knew how to conserve his energy and so lived to a ripe old age, 78. That's why they called him Old Hickory. Sleep thief. He robs you of more sleep than a noisy airport. He's our thoughts of tomorrow. I must get to sleep. I have to get up early tomorrow. Our sleep thieves hidden under the pillow. The broom for long life. A Kentucky woman recently stated her secret of living so long was the broom. She claimed it kept her mind off her worries and it did much for her figure. So when upset and annoyed, when worried, bored, or overweight, reach for a broom. You'll do both the room and yourself a lot of common sense good. Formula for longer living. This 111-year-old Oklahoma man in an interview said his advice to live longer was as follows. Don't eat too much. Don't marry too young. Keep your feet warm. I married 3 times but waited till I was old enough. I eat 1 meal a day and here I am. I stay away from hospitals and sugar in my coffee. I'm ready for the Lord whenever He's ready for me. What better advice do you need? End of chapter. All right. Stay right here. Stay with me as I'm going to go ahead and roll on to the next chapter titled How Not to Retire at 65 and Have Energy to Go on. Idleness is emptiness. Again comes the subject of the most horrible energy-robbing number in the world, 65. That age when man and woman are supposed to go into a corner and prepare for death. It's the calendar date most workers fear, for it stands for retirement, a gold watch, a fishing pole, many testimonials, and a hard but uncomfortable seat on a green bench in St. Petersburg, Florida, or the University by the Sea. Long Beach, California, the great U.S. retirement haven for people without energy to go on. But why? Why retire? Well, there was a time in man's existence when he was old at 35. Alexander the Great died about that age. Then lifespan went to 40, then to 50, then to 65. Here it seems to be stuck, for today man goes into his 90s at times, very often into his 80s, and most insurance firms will gamble that many men will go into their 70s, but industry will not gamble. Industry says you are no good after 65. You have lost your energy. But have you? Indeed not. Today, with advancement in science and medicines and a 5-day work week or less, man is a thriving beehive of activity at 65. He's bouncy, he is brainy, he is filled with energy, and furthermore, he has learned the hard way how to wean energy so he can go on and on and on every hour of the day. He's a best bet for business. He isn't a night owl any longer. He knows the value of holding down tempers, anger, and other energy destroyers. He has been with the firm long enough to know the easy ways of doing tough jobs and how not to let the job get him down, but how to get the job done and down. These days, at 65, he is in rare form. But try to convince the boss. The boss figures the old horse is due for the pasture. He has served his day and must be let out to roam the streets aimlessly, trying to manufacture conversation with everyone he meets, doing his best to keep his mind occupied. The boss is really sending the man to his death. His death sentence is, "Herb, old boy, here's a watch, here's a fishing pole. Anytime we can be of help, just call on us." Then Herb is shoved out the door. He's on his way to retirement and death. How to fool the world. You can fool the world at 65. You can cheat retirement if you do certain things. For it is foolish to accept the gold wash and fishing pole and a road map to St. Petersburg or Long Beach as a last right. In retirement cities, your energy will be sapped by seeing all stages of retirement, grumbling and grunting at each other, or trying to make like young by overacting as teenagers. To be sure, many retire gracefully in these retirement centers. Others hate to be with old people and burn energy in a foolish way. What is old people? Largen Parks once said, "Anyone 10 years older than I am is an old person." That's the philosophy to have. Old age always ahead of you. One that will keep you energetic. Don't live in the past. Too many people live in the past. We all know those old-timers who always berate the present day, talking about the good old days. They burn up energy with such useless, aimless talk. We know the results of this, but there is a worse philosophy, and that is to talk always about tomorrow. This person never lives for the fun of today. He has his eyes glued too hard on the distant future. The day he plans to do things, the day he plans to live, travel, take it easy, go fishing. His eyes are on tomorrow and, as you well know, tomorrow never comes. Tomorrow can't arrive, for it comes tomorrow, not today. The lucky person at 65 or any age is the one who lives for today in capital letters. He enjoys the moment. He is the moment. Now, I don't mean you should blow the bankroll to have a good time today and let tomorrow worry about itself. That's going too far. As bad as the person who lives a penurious, energetic life, saving money and energy for tomorrow, he's the person who dies rich in the graveyard, poor on this earth. You will retain energy at 65 and go on, if you adhere to this old philosophy. Live for today, for tomorrow we may die. Don't be a headline worrier. To worry over the morning newspaper headlines saps energy. We worry that the world is falling to pieces. Now, back in Teddy Roosevelt's day, he'd had taken his big stick and gone places, so you get upset, burn up tension, excite your nerves. Headlines, headlines, headlines. Each morning, a new crisis, and since you have time now at 65 on your hands, you read more headlines and can be greatly disturbed by them if you permit yourself to be so disturbed. The trick is not to take headlines seriously. Skip them for a few days, and sure enough, Monday's crisis is all over with. The stock market is back on its feet again from a berry pie incident. Russia is making peace terms again. The world rolls on until tomorrow's headlines. Learn how to accept a headline crisis for what it is. Good story, good circulation builder, but don't sit around on the green park benches of life trying to run Washington. Brother, if they asked me, only they didn't. And don't let it run down your energy. Take the headlines philosophically, and you'll find energy to burn as if you had $100 bills to burn. People who take the world lightly at any age slowly. They have energy to burn. I read a short squib the other day that said in part, Russia is making maneuvers again. France is upset and on the war edge. Great Britain is sending ambassadors to distant lands. America is having internal troubles and keeps its war eye peeled. Strife and trouble are over the horizon. It was a most pessimistic outlook for the world. It got me in the mental dumps until I read the dateline of the article. It was not even in this century. It was written in the last century in Harper's Magazine, yet 75 or so years later, today, it could still be read as present-day news, showing again that the world always seems to go on, despite newspaper headlines. So if you want energy at any age, read the Dear Abby column instead, or laugh with the comic characters. Just keep your eye away from the headlines and the obituary page too, for both will make you old before you age. 4 tricks to cheat age 65. Here are the tricks to cheat the boss at age 65 or any age. 1. Realize that at age 65 you have 20 more years to live, and most insurance firms will place bets with you on this, that you have 2 more decades to keep going, so look for something to do other than fishing. 2. Learn to retire piecemeal. By this I mean, at 50 or 60, take 4-week vacations, visit strange places you feel might be suitable for retirement, test to see how it feels hanging around the house over long weekends. Get yourself and the family used to having yourself around the house. Do this piecemeal, and it won't be a shock to your energy stockpile if you do retire. 3. Retire from one job, but only to take another. At 65, you've got health and pep and vigor. Perhaps you aren't a hot rod anymore, but you sure aren't old folks. So get into another business, perhaps one of your own. Then you won't feel the transition from the old watch banquet to the park bench. Retire little by little. That's the secret of having energy at 65. 4. Plan your retirement. Most people keep it out of their minds, fearing the thought will cause worry. It won't. Plan where you will live, often in another part of your city. Plan what you will do to keep mind and pocketbook energetic. Many thinkers at 40 or 50 have already begun their after 65 job planning. They started it years before, studied it, got it going little by little, and were ready and able to take it on the day after the Gold Watch banquet, which then, to them, was almost ridiculous. The Archie Hunter story. Archie Hunter of Western Union in the Southwest was to be retired in full and glorious manner at 65. But he cheated. He started in selling farmland at 55. He bought a small piece of land, sold it over weekends, bought more, sold it. One day, at age 57, he told the boss he was going to accept his present pension and quit. They could kindly give him his gold watch right then and there, even if it was only gold-plated. And they did, with 105 people attending the banquet, paying for their own dinner, just to send off Archie, a person all envied for his stand. Next day, Archie was buying up farmland. He had tested and tested out the idea while still employed. If he hadn't liked it, he could still have tested out other self-employment ideas. He still had regular income to gamble on. Didn't need to experiment after 65, but before 65. Today, Archie's 10 years younger in energetic pep because now he's his own boss. He isn't worrying about when I get old. The horrible figure of 65 doesn't mean a darn thing to Archie Hunter. He learned the tricks to have energy in his late years, which to him will never come. Fred Highcomb's trick. Fred Highcomb is another example of proper retirement. Fred was head of a national-type founding firm, but one day he saw age 65 facing him down the long line. He didn't want to be caught short at 65, realizing if he waited until then, it might be too late to enter another business. So like Archie Hunter, he experimented with other jobs while he was in his 50s and packed with energy. One day, after many trials and errors, he saw that sales consultation was the deal for him. So he quit his job, set up a home office, as did Hunter, and today services sufficient accounts to keep him and his big acreage home in Illinois and his swimming pool home in Palm Springs in good shape. Fred today is also in good shape. He's energetic because he didn't let fear of the numerals 65 get him down. We must all come to 65 sometime. It is best to prepare for it now, today at 29, 39, 49, and go right through 65 in a breeze and come out an energetic person. Never look age 65. Don't act old. That is the tip of the Plus 40 Club of New York will give its members. The club caters only to older executives who are out of work because some firm had set up that dastardly figure of 65. So these ex-executives meet at the Plus 40 Club and wind their gold watches, planning dexterously for employment, and they usually get it by some other firm who wants the brains and energy and experience of 65, rather than a 25-year-old youngster not experienced in handling his energy. But these executives have a trick. They don't show their age. They keep their bodies slim and youthful. They keep their clothes modernized. They act like young executives, only with brains and experience, and it isn't long before you see them popping up at another job and loading up again with energy a job can give a person. So remember the rule. Don't act old. Older people are sick too much. Ever hear that? The United States Department of Labor refutes this thinking. At 65, you aren't any more liable to get the mumps or measles as you are at 45. And as for accidents, at this age you are far more cautious and don't go flying off into self-made accidents. Few older people are accident prone. That's the disease of youth. Energy doesn't leave you at 65. If you're looking for a job at any age, don't look ragged at the edges. Don't look pepless. Don't have a lost look in your eye. Don't look like a has-been. Don't look like a know-it-all either. Don't talk too much, just a little. Don't flub the interview by talking too much. Don't brag, just comment. Don't plead. The trick, according to Kiplinger's magazine, in getting a job at any age in life is know your assets, sell your willingness. High blood pressure ages. As you get older, watch your blood pressure, for that's a big secret in keeping your energy flowing. High blood pressure tends to make people look older, yet today with drugs and proper diet, this ailment is getting less and less a hazard. Here's what might give you high blood pressure: nervousness, tensions, excitability, anger. Avoid these conditions that bring on high blood pressure, for high blood pressure requires much energy to go to waste. Keeping the blood pressure at proper level for your age saves energy and gives you pep. Raise eyebrows, not roofs. The person who gets red with anger, who blows his top, is the one who pumps up his blood pressure and loses energy. Like stepping on the gas to make the engine go faster. For the faster it goes, the more gas it burns up, and the harder and faster your blood trots, the more energy you burn up needlessly. Dr. Wingate Johnson, in his book, The Years After 50, with Leslie House, points out how emotional strains bring on high blood pressure, causing people to get over their Plimsoll marks, and they end up as lumps of de-energized people. He points out that while certain kidney and heart conditions are historical causes of high blood pressure, that many a person can control his pressure merely by controlling his emotional strain. So raise the eyebrow instead of the roof. Laughter generates energy. Wilfred A. Patterson, in a This Week magazine editorial, gave a real advice in being energetic at any age. Meet the challenge of life with the art of laughter. Develop a playful attitude toward problems. His feeling, to pierce the balloons of pretension and deflate stuffed shirts, is a good one. For laughter can calm us down, prevent outbursts of loss of energy that destroy us. Henry Ward Beecher put it this way: a man without mirth is like a wagon without springs. He is jolted disagreeably by every pebble in the road. A good joke relaxes people. Presidents of the United States who really have upheld their energies after elections were those with a sense of humor. At least, so says Laugh-Man Milton Berle. He claimed President Kennedy liked jokes, and Berle's favorite on Kennedy was to say, "John has had too many pablum cocktails today." This the president enjoyed. Ike had a sense of humor, too, that kept his energy flowing, according to Berle. Bob Hope often quipped about Ike, "I see the security guards are toting match machine guns in their golf bags." This always amused Ike, who laughed off his heart ailment, taking life in easy stroke and score. Former Secretary of the State Duels at times enjoyed a joke. Hope once said, "Duels can't stay long. His plane is double parked." The laughter relaxed the tensions of everyone within hearing. A good joke, well told, eases tensions. Truman learned how to laugh off worries, as when some crack was made about his piano playing, and of course FDR came in for many jokes and could ease tensions with a good quip. Benny kids FDR. One time, Jack Benny floored FDR, who was not at ease for some reason. It may have been the Montgomery Ward situation when the government intervened, but the tension flew out the window, and energetic laughter resulted when Benny said, "I just bought this tuxedo from Montgomery, Roosevelt and Ward." Roosevelt came back and further energized the affair by saying, "Jack, you mean Roosevelt, Montgomery, and Ward." So you see, at any age, but especially at age 65, good humor relaxes nerves, builds up energy, and sets people off in good spirits. President Coolidge and Hoover were tough ones to make laugh, for both had only faint smiles, but the worries of the world left Calvin one night, according to Milton Berle's story, on jokes that made presidents laugh, when Groucho Marx interrupted his scene at exactly 10:20 p.m., went stage front, and peering over the footlights said, "Calvin, isn't it past your bedtime?" Calvin gave forth with a Mona Lisa smile. Just remember, he who laughs, lasts. Don't cut corners. Summed up. You needn't grab a roadmap for the green park bench at 65. For today, that's old-fashioned. You've still energy to burn, but as with a car that has gone 65,000 miles, you just take it a little easier. You nurse it along and it lasts to 100,000 miles. Same with you. Don't cut corners. Stick to the straight path. Laugh at age 65. Accept the gold watch, of course, but put it in the bureau for posterity to read 20 or more years later when you're really at the end of energy. But today, 65 stands for energy for sale. People who live to 65 must have natural energy to have so lasted, and those who follow the rules herein will find they have enough energy left to make the world sit up and take notice. But as with a bank account at age 65, just don't blow energy all at one time. Wean it. Follow the advice of Chauncey Depew. Do anything you want to, but do it in moderation. Chapter Success Story. Knowing when and how to relax is one rule for success that has paid off for a chairman of the board with no qualms about age 65 or any age. John and Marshall of St. Louis, headmen of Granite Steel Company and loaded with responsibilities, decided to relax his energies and play golf at his Willow Club. But in his own words, this is what happened. Every time I made a bad shot, I got mad, and by the time I reached the 18th hole, I was all keyed up and mad enough to explode. I decided that was plain silly. Here I was playing golf to have fun and relax, and all it was doing was getting me in a worse state. So I quit golf and started hunting and fishing, and I have never regretted it. That's real relaxation. The point of Chairman Marshall's story is this rule. Pick the things that relax you. Don't follow a crowd. If golf upsets you, fish. If fishing bores you, hunt. If hunting annoys you, then travel. As Marshall says, throw yourself into your work during your business hours. Don't be sidetracked, but when you are through, relax. And when you play, do so for the pleasure it brings, not the records you might make. Chapter Thought. Learn the proper time for work and for play, and when you play, have fun. How to retire gracefully. If you want to retire, start with 2 extra days off each week, then 3, then 4, then the entire week. Retire gradually over several years. Many firms are using this gradual retirement method and find that it works. Retire gradually. Get the system adjusted to loafing by degrees. Loafing may not be the fun you figure it to be. A new weight table. Some doctors say this table is the most accurate. Weigh at 35 what you did at 30. At 40, weigh 5% less. At 45, another 5% less. At 50, still another 5% less than you did at 30. Remember, what was muscle at 30 is perhaps just plain old pantry lard at 50. When to retire? Never. You'll die if you do. Merely change from a fast-moving job to a slower one, from a 7-day work week to a 6, then a 5, then a 4-day week. Never completely retire, for a lawnmower that isn't used anymore soon finds its way to the junkyard. How's your blood pressure? It is said by some that your blood pressure should be 100 plus your age. If you are 50, therefore, and add 100, your normal blood pressure would be 150, according to this measuring stick. Tired blood. Ain't no such thing, say the docs. When you feel droopy drawers, it is usually from lack of something to keep up your interest. The way to banish tiredness is to find an interest. End of chapter. We're going to go to this next section right here titled Poor Elmer's Almanac and Hodge-Podge of Ideas to help you gain boundless energy here at the Appendix. As I flip the page, take a second there, be kind and hit that like button. And I'd love to hear your comments on this book and what was your favorite chapter. Sit back and enjoy. Appendix. As long as you live, keep learning how to live. Henry VIII enjoyed food, but not great energy. He could munch the hind leg of an ox, but his vigor was slack. He had a bay window that was the delight of all. But, like Falstaff, his bay window held him down, physically as well as mentally. Eat less and gain energy. Lazy livers in life. Chances are, if your liver is lazy, you lack pep and vigor. The lazy liver comes from rich foods, lack of exercise, and poor circulation. Your liver becomes torpid when overdoses of rich foods and alcohol. Slow up on the rich foods, and you'll speed up on energy. Proper rest builds energy. Don't roll into a ball for best slumber. Follow the athlete who flops into bed without regard for position. Toss around if you want, for that relaxes you all over. Don't grip the bed like a roller coaster. Let the bed grip you, and don't fight the pillow. Sound rest miraculously rejuvenates run-down human batteries. Anemia runs down energy. Anemia gets one down, but it can be corrected by proper drugs and foods your doctor will recommend, such as iron and B12. People with anemia, often hidden from them for years, lack pep, vim, vigor. They tire easily. Red meat is a blood builder to ward off borderline cases of anemia. But see your doc. He'll see that you are ironized. Sugar gets you up and down. Lack of sugar, called glucose, can let you down. A low blood sugar count robs you of energy. There is a simple test any doc can give you to see how your sugar count is before and after meals. If you need energizing glucose, he'll advise you. Sugar does give energy. That's why the Army totes chocolate bars with their ammunition. Check up on your sugar, in the blood, that is. Have you a case of fidgetitis? And people who squirm as they sip burn energy. They have fidgetitis, if there is such a disease. They shift around constantly in their chairs, tap fingers, scratch themselves, clench and unclench fists, open and close paper clips, tap nervously with their feet, all of which waste valuable energy. Stop fidgeting and gain energy. Talk less and gain energy. Keep the trapdoor of your mouth closed. It requires lots of energy for mouth music that few listen to anyway. When the mouth is open, energy seeps out of the system. Talkers not only tire out others, but themselves. Trick for instant sleep. You can sleep better on a certainty of 3% interest on your money than an insecure 10% promise. Another formula for slumber. Pay your bills. A paid-up bill never kept a person awake nights. Are you a car dreamer? Do you find yourself daydreaming as you drive a car? If so, traffic officials say you are more prone to accidents than from speeding. How to keep from car daydreaming? Dr. Alfred Byrne gave this sure cure prescription in the London Clinic Medical Journal. Remove your shoes. He says driving barefoot or in your socks awakens the nerves of the soul and brings body alertness and energy. He also recommends shutting off the radio. It often brings on tension while driving and drives off energy to drive. Stop that worry. Worry will eat up energy. One way to stop worry is to let your troubles disappear by themselves. Disturbing news often changes to good news in the next letter that arrives. A trick to maintain energy. When you walk, hold the chin high. It relieves pressure on the spine. Heads hunched on chest, pull on the spine. Heads and chins held high, rest the spine, and give you energy. Read failure stories. Failures of others often teach us as much as success stories. So don't hesitate to read about failures of others. You will learn things never taught by success. Mottos of the successful. The same 1,000 successful people who gave me their formula for success also gave me mottos that prodded them on to success. Here are a few of them. 1. What is there in it for the other fellow? 2. You must mean business to do business. 3. Get along with others and you'll get along. 4. You can get anywhere by starting where you are. 5. Everything becomes easy when you have know-how. 6. Sometimes I find it pays to be ignorant. 7. You must prepare for luck and breaks. 8. When you fall, learn how to bounce. This is the end of the appendix and also the end of the reading of the book titled How to Tap Your Hidden Sources of Energy by Elmer Wheeler. Thank you so much for joining me along on this journey. Again, please do hit that like button. If you like your visit here with me, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you at the next video, wherever that might be, here on my channel. Be blessed.